Welcome to Between Meetings and Motherhood. I'm your host, Alexa Starks. I am the founder of Executive Moms and the editor in chief of Mothered Magazine, and I'm a mom to two toddlers. Today, we're going to talk about something that doesn't get said out loud very often, especially not by working moms. We're going to talk about anger, about mom rage, not chaos, not screaming into the void, although sometimes that is enjoyable and cathartic, but the steady, simmering kind of anger that shows up when you realize something isn't just hard, it's unfair. And if you've ever felt frustrated about how much you're carrying and then immediately told yourself to calm down because that's just how it is, this episode is for you. Don't forget to follow along. Please like, share, follow, comment for Between Meetings and Motherhood. And don't forget to follow along on Instagram as well, mothered.magazine or alexa.starks. Okay, let's get into this. So there's a moment that happens for a lot of women after becoming mothers. And it's not dramatic. It's not some movie theater cinematic moment. It's quiet. It's the moment when you realize that the systems that you're operating inside were not designed with you in mind. And we talk about this a lot about how workplaces are built around uninterrupted labor and career ladders are built around constant availability and leadership models were built around someone else handling everything at home. And then we drop mothers into those systems and we say, oh, just be more efficient or lean in or speak up more and just be more confident and be more visible and find the balance and time management. But that's not empowering. That's forcing the mom to adapt to systems. And that was certainly my experience in corporate America was just now I have to navigate around everything else and it wasn't supportive. It wasn't designed to have any sort of outside responsibility. It was just work, 100% work. And so let's call out this patriarchal design. So modern workplaces were structured around the very specific assumption that there is a worker whose time is uninterrupted, whose body's not recovering from childbirth, whose calendar is not dictated by school closures or sickness, and whose caregiving labor is handled by somebody else. And historically, that's always been a man with a wife at home. And that's not a personal attack on men and dads. That's just a fact that historically that's what it's been. And yet today we still measure performance and employees by those same exact metrics of hours online, visibility in meetings, responsiveness, this constant upward momentum. And then when mothers struggle inside that model, we personalize it and say they're failing. We say it's a personal issue that mom can't hang. She cannot manage inside the system. And we call it burnout and we call it imposter syndrome and we call it time management issues. But rarely do we say that this structure was built on assumptions that don't reflect your life. That's patriarchy. It's patriarchal systems that benefit the man. And so it's this system that was built without caregiving in mind and still expects caregiving bodies to conform around this rigid structure that was designed 100 years ago. So let's talk about mom rage now. Let's talk about this anger and where this anger comes from. And I had awful postpartum anxiety and postpartum rage with my second, with my daughter. But this is different. This is a mom rage that's constant. And so when you feel frustrated, when you feel resentful that you're doing mental load on top of professional load, repeated over and over, and when you feel irritated that flexibility is treated like a privilege instead of a norm, that's not that's not you being dramatic. That's just your nervous system recognizing this misalignment. Anger is data. It's information that something isn't equitable. And the problem is women are socialized and conditioned to turn that anger inwards and call it a personal failing, a personal problem. Instead of the system is unrealistic, we think, why can't I handle this better? Instead of, oh, this workload assumes I have no caregiving responsibilities, we think other moms are managing and doing it. Maybe I'm just not strong enough, or maybe I'm just not good enough. And that internalization is how patriarchal systems survive. Not because women aren't capable, but because we, women, we compensate for those gaps and are constantly trying to fill those gaps ourselves instead of recognizing the system is failing and the system is just designed poorly. Okay, I want to talk about burning the patriarchy and burning the patriarchal systems down and what that actually means. So, because I could get excited about this and talk about this all the time, but when I say burn the patriarchy, I don't mean quit your job tomorrow because we all need money. I get that. And I don't mean chaos. I mean stop burning yourself trying to fit into something that was never designed around your reality. Burn the belief that you're the problem. Burn the idea that asking for flexibility is weakness. Burn the expectation that you should endure quietly to be taken seriously. Burn the conditioning that says anger makes you unstable instead of aware. Burn all of that thinking and conditioning down that you're the problem instead of this realizing that the system is a problem. Call out the system, call out the issues, burn it down because patriarchal systems depend on women self-blaming. Just think about that. Patriarchal systems depend on women self-blaming. They depend on women shrinking and making ourselves smaller to stay likable, right? Because, oh, we must make sure everybody likes us. I can't tell you how many times I heard that growing up and going into my first job and first career, that make sure you're friends with everybody, make sure you're nice to everybody likes you, right? The system depends on women absorbing all of this strain and the issues instead of naming it and calling it out. And when you stop doing that, that's impact. That's impactful. That's burning the patriarchy. That's changing it. And so this is what feminism is in real life. Feminism doesn't always have to look like protest signs. Sometimes it does. Feminism takes many different forms, but sometimes it looks like just blocking your calendar without guilt or saying no without over explaining and apologizing. Sometimes it's asking, why is it done this way? Why is this structured this way? Why are we doing it this way? Sometimes it's refusing to praise burnout as dedication or designing your ambition around sustainability instead of performance and fakeness. Sometimes feminism isn't loud, it's just refusal to internalize what was never yours to carry alone. And being strong doesn't have to mean being quiet. There's this idea that strong women just handle things, right? We just get it done. We just push through. We just power through. We just get it done. But strength can look like clarity and saying this, it can look like saying, this isn't working for me. It can look like asking for structural change instead of you just optimizing and taking it all on yourself. It can look like teaching your daughter that endurance is not the price of belonging, and teaching your son that care and caring for others and caregiving responsibilities is not optional. That's how systems shift, just through refusal, through standing up. So redirect your anger. When you redirect your anger outwards towards the structure and the systems and the design instead of towards yourself, something shifts. You become less apologetic, less frantic, less likely to twist yourself into knots, trying to prove your worth and burning out, trying to do all of it unsustainably. And you start making decisions that are impactful and are based on alignment instead of some random other imaginary system person's approval. That's powerful. That's rebellious almost. That's not just rage. That's impact. And that is what threatens systems that depend on your self-doubt. That threatens systems that depend on you absorbing all of it. So, if you've ever felt angry lately, take that anger and redirect it outwards towards the actual problem. If you felt like something about this, the setup and the systems just doesn't add up, you're perceptive, you're catching on. Don't burn yourself out trying to survive a structure that needs updating. Burn the belief that you're the problem. I'm Alexa Starks, and this is Between Meetings and Motherhood. Thank you for being here between the meetings and in the middle of motherhood. Please join us next week. And don't forget to check out motheredmagazine.com. If you are interested in being featured in our upcoming spring issue, applications are open until the end of February. But otherwise, please follow us on Instagram, mother.magazine, or follow Alexa Starks on Instagram, Executive Moms. And please share this episode with another mom who might start feeling that rage. If you're feeling the rage, feeling the moment, please follow along. And that's what we're here for. We'll see you in the next episode.